Not yet. It's gonna start.
It takes a minute.
Okay, we getting ready to start. Hold on. Did you call your friend Jackie?
Yes, Shirley. Yeah, she's still there. I got her. Okay, you're live.
All right then. All right.
I'm gonna. I'm
So,
turning my microphone off for now, but
okay.
I'll still be here.
Okay. Well, we had some technical difficulties, but we still gonna give the people their hour. Just wanted to introduce to everybody Monica Brown that come on tonight to speak to us about living after losing a child. And as you know, everybody hasn't had this experience. But because you have, and there are those out there who have, but haven't had that opportunity to talk about it, that myself and Jackie, we're excited about having you on tonight. So,
Thank you.
without further ado, I'm going to let you go on and start talking and telling your story. And periodically, we might, jump in and just ask some questions, and we'll just go from there. Okay?
Alrighty.
All right. It's your turn.
Okay. Well, I just want to start by saying I'm Monica, and I'm 35 now. I had two twins at the time. Altogether, I had 3 kids. The one I'm talking about tonight is the one I lost, which is her name is Kimani. At the time I lost her, she was 8 months. She never got a chance to come home. She
Okay.
was in a hospital. At the time, she was having complications with the heart. They were her and her brother were both born with a heart failure.
Okay.
So pretty much, we were thinking that she would be able to come home and change her plans because God had other plans. So at 8 months, she expired.
And how old was
she expired in June.
How old was she?
8 months.
8 months?
She was 8 months. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She was
Okay.
8 months.
Okay.
I held her till she took her last breath.
Okay.
And my mom was with me at the time that it happened. And I'm letting you guys know that it wasn't an easy thing. It was traumatic. It wasn't something that I planned. It wasn't something that I was expecting. I was thinking that she was going to be okay and that she would be coming home just a couple of weeks or maybe even a month after her brother. And she didn't.
Okay.
So at the time, as she expired, there were many things that I was dealing with mentally, and I just didn't understand. So I blamed God, and I blamed myself for things that I couldn't. I didn't have any control over.
Yes. Yes.
So
I just
dealing
want to
with
ask a question real
go
quick,
ahead.
Monica. How old was Kimon when he came home?
Kimon was 6 months.
I just wanted to ask. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. He was 6 months. And when he came home with a heart monitor. He was still having complications, but not too bad to the point to where I could deal with it. He had a heart monitor and he came home with an oxygen tank. And we ended up having an appointment. He ended up coming up off the oxygen. Then he ended up coming up off the the heart monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So things were going good for him and his sister. She was doing good, and then things took a turn for the worse
Okay.
for her.
Mm-hmm. So
So
let me stop right there for a moment, because I know, and I know Jackie know because we're both observing. We want you to know that even though you're on this interview, you are not by yourself. You can calm down and tell your story because your words are exuberating out into the atmosphere to people who are having some of those emotions that you have. And so, in that and with that, you tell your story without delay. But if you feel as though, that's why we're on here with you, to give you that support. If you feel as though you gotta take a breather, it's okay. Because we haven't lost a child. And there are people who will watch this who have not lost a child, but they know somebody has. So what you're basically doing tonight, you're telling your story, but you are also educating those of us who have not had that experience. So you're speaking on behalf of lots of women out there and their husbands who have had this pain like you. So tell that story because people really need to have it. You have an amazing story. So back on you.
And Electra, I want to throw back in here to you, Monica. I told Monica if she feels the need to, she's welcome to turn her camera off at any time. And she can keep talking or she can be quiet, and that Electra and I will make sure to be here just in case. So
Yes,
no stress, no worries, okay?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Dealing with this, and I'm still dealing with it. It's not easy for me at all. I'm emotional every day. I just hide it, like like you just have to take it one day at a time.
One day at a time. It's okay.
One day at a time. So, I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize for being human.
It's not.
Please don't.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's not easy. Mentally, I break down. I hide it, but I'm telling you, like I have been the strongest of strong in so many ways, dealing with it inside and out.
Yes.
Even my sister has lost a child. Burying a child is like any child or anybody is the most hurtfulest thing in the world. And I just never think that I would have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I thought I would be able to, when the situation happened, I thought I would be able to just hold it in or just think, okay, I will be okay. Knowing that I'm not okay mentally. I'm not okay mentally. And there's days, like when her birthday comes up and her death anniversary comes up, there's days I blame myself again. Like I hear it over and over in my head, like, you let this happen, or how could you let this happen? So and when I think about how there's so many kids dying or people doing harm to them, it really hurts me to the core.
Can I ask you to talk about something specific, Monica?
Yes, ma'am.
Before we came on live, you and I had talked about people who say to you, it'll get better, or who say to you, that's okay.
Then
Let it out.
they'll say it gets better. It'll be okay. This time shall pass. There's never a time.
Never a
Time
time.
does not pass. You won't get better. You can grieve as long as you want to.
That's right.
There's days where I don't have to grieve every day, but when I grieve to myself. I grieve in silence. I pray and I grieve.
I think that a great thing that's a problem is that people say those kind of things because they don't know what to say.
They don't
know what to say. So I'm
they never
asking
lost
you,
a child.
what could someone who is not able to sympathize with you because they've never been there, but who can empathize with you, what can that person say to honor your daughter but not diminish what you're going through, if anything?
They can just say, just always honor her, always admire her, always talk about her, let her know that you still love her and she's still here in spirit.
And instead of saying, oh, time will erase your grief.
Yes, time will pass. You'll get over this.
Say, the beautiful memory of your daughter lives on.
Well, exactly.
If that is something that someone could, because people who are saying that half the time, they know you've lost this child, but they don't know what to say, and they feel like they need to say something.
Right.
So
they just don't have the right words.
They don't have the right words.
It's okay for you to ask. How do you deal with this? It is okay for you to ask, how do you deal with this? Because sometimes I ask myself, how do I deal with this? How do I go on? How how stronger is strong, and how much stronger can I be?
Monica, can I ask you, how do you deal? How do you go on?
Miss Jackie, I look to my kids. I sing in the choir. I enjoy going to church. I enjoy the presence of my children. I enjoy the love that I give them. Sometimes I feel that I overly love them, and I can't help that.
No, I don't think there's such a thing as overly loving it.
Exactly. I enjoy being a mother to my boys. And just thinking every day, wow, if your sister was here, how would, things would be, with your better half. I just enjoy it.
I can't remember if you explained at the beginning that your youngest son, Kimon, that your daughter who has passed, Kimani, was his twin.
Yes, ma'am.
He has a hard time sometimes dealing with that.
Yes, ma'am. It's hard for me to explain to him, an 8-year-old, things that I have no control over. He wants to know. Sometimes he even wants to see if he can go visit her. He just asks why. Why did this happen? And I just explained to him. He doesn't understand right now, but he understands that she's in heaven.
That she's not here.
That she's not here.
She's not here. Does he recognize your sadness when it's her birthday or Christmas? Does he?
Yes, he feels it.
He feels it. And
yes,
your
ma'am.
older boy too, I bet.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to jump in here right quick, Jackie, and say this to Monica, because, we got a while for the interview to go on. And I heard you say something, and I know that Jackie caught it as well. And this is why it's important to get counseling, because your emotions, because I'm just saying this from the conversation, what I'm hearing is people didn't let you grieve. And so you've become afraid to grieve. But
I have.
you have to stop hiding. That's the purpose of this podcast, is that you don't hide your story. Your story is so important that here's what's happening. It's swole up so heavy on the inside of you because people have told you your story is not important. But it is. Even if they didn't say it out of their mouths, they are saying it through their actions. You, along with many other parents who have lost their children, have to be given that rite of passage in the lives of the people that you are around. Whoever you are choosing to be around, they don't see what you went through as a process. They see it as an exhaustion. And the reason they see it as an exhaustion because they have not experienced that. So when you talk about it, they get exhausted because they don't want to hear about it. And I'm telling you on tonight, that's your story. You have to heal, but not like people say it. You got to heal through tears. Cry when you want to cry. You got to heal to having a conversation and talking about it. Talk about your pain. How, just like tonight. Tonight you had some emotions before you even got to this point. And guess what? God knew it. I knew it. Jackie knew it. And we've been doing everything that we possibly can just to keep you at a comfort level to know that it's okay to be human. It's okay. Because you're suffering alone and you don't have to. There are lots of people, like right now, that want to hear your story. Tell your story. And that, even after getting off here tonight, keep telling your story. That's a part of your healing. You gotta talk about it. And people that don't want to hear your story, guess what? Sometimes it's time for those people to get out of your life. You lost your child and you are still grieving as if it was still that day.
Yes, ma'am.
So continue
And
to
I want to
tell the
ask you,
story.
yeah, have you had the opportunity to meet with a grief counselor?
No, ma'am. I've
And a lot of
always,
people don't do it. They don't do it, and that's
no,
okay.
I've always felt that I can do this on my own. I don't need someone to tell me how to grieve and when to grieve. And I felt that someone would tell me something and I'd be like, no, that's not what I want to hear. And I don't need your opinion and I don't need you to tell me anything on how to grieve about my child because you don't know what I'm dealing with and you don't know what's going through my mind.
And
But that's not.
speaking from the voice of a counselor, I'm no longer a licensed counselor, so I want to make that clear. I retired 20 years ago, and I have not kept my license. Your Kamani's story deserves to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And you may think, some people may think, you probably don't, but some people may think, what story does she have? She only lived to be 8 months old. But you lived through every birthday with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You lived through every Christmas and every Thanksgiving. So can I, as an ex-counselor, ask you to do something? And you may do this. And
Yes,
you may
ma'am.
have come to this on your own, and you don't have to do what I say.
Right.
I want you to write letters to her.
I do.
I'll
And put them
write
on
letters.
balloons.
You don't have to put, I want you to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to keep them. I want you to write letters to her on every birthday, every Christmas, every Easter, every time there's something that your family celebrates together. I want you to write her a letter. Today you would be 8 years old. Today your brother hit his first home run. You would have loved it. You probably would have gone running out there and chased right out. Because 40 years from now, I'm going to hope that your grief will have taken a different form, but your joy never will. Your joy should be the same.
Yeah.
And I want you to be able to look back and feel every moment of joy with your daughter that you feel with your sons. Because you are her mother. You will always be her mother. That doesn't end. That doesn't stop. I'm not telling you this I can't tell you this as a counselor. Like I said, I'm not licensed. I'm just
still
telling you
a
this
counselor, and
as a
you
person.
still were able to, God gave you that gift and gave you that education in order to, you just working, you never gonna stop being a counselor, you just working in a different
never.
capacity.
I can't do it. I try to
Yes,
stop, but I
ma'am.
can't. But I want you to, I want you to remember the joy of her life and
Yes, ma'am.
experience the joy of her life. And I don't mean to, cut you off or whatever, but
No, you're fine.
and I don't know if a grief counselor would tell you that or not. I was never specifically a grief counselor, but I've talked to a lot. I ran a women's center for a while. Talked to a lot of women who lost children or husbands.
Monica,
And my thing, yeah, go ahead.
my thing is that
ahead.
I can tell you that I went through counseling after the loss of my husband. And I'm saying this, you don't have to do it. And I would say this to anybody that has lost anybody. But a child, I don't know what that feels like. I only know I wouldn't want to have to go through it. But I can tell you this, counseling works. Nobody's trying to tell you what to do. They're just giving you some insight. You really doing like you're doing here tonight when you go to counseling. I went to counseling for an entire year, and it helped me. And your job will pay for that. And you're dealing with a neutral person. It's not stay allowing you to talk about it. It's going to help you. That's what helped me. Because I had to come to the realization that my spouse wasn't going to come back.
Right.
And he wanted me to continue to live. And your baby, she wants you to continue to live. She's going to forever be in your heart. And the thing is, too, I used to work with parents of murdered children. They still lost a child. They still lost a child. Just like you lost your child, I believe what's happening, Monica, is you're doing so much alone. You're afraid to get help. Talk to us.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on, talk to us.
I am.
You can talk to your Aunt Electra anytime.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what? You
Yes,
can talk to
ma'am.
me anytime too.
Yeah.
But
That's my thing. Like I'm like afraid to let people in.
Mhm.
That's it. I just keep it to myself, and I'm always trying to see if somebody else okay. When I don't even ask myself, am I okay?
yeah. And you know what?
So
Sense in you that Monica told me that she's a caregiver. She takes care of a cousin and an aunt. And I'm sure you are always concerned about them. Are they
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Did they get enough to eat? Are they getting their medications? Are they clean? Are they,
right.
I'm sure that all this is going through your head, but it's keeping you from thinking about yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not alone. I am positive, and as Electra will attest to that. so many women. We had
This
a couple of
this loss thing, Jackie and Monica, is something that is a touch and go. That's what I hear you saying, and Jackie, that's what I hear you saying. It's somewhat like you can't find the words to explain it. You just know it hurts. You just know it hurts. And I'm going to say and reiterate what Jackie is saying, Monica, you got to get some help. That don't make you crazy. That
it doesn't make you weak.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Thank God.
And I had thought about it, but I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to open up to a stranger? Am I comfortable? Do I think this is what I need? I know I need it. And I just be telling myself, I don't know.
It is a difficult step.
It is. It really is. And then sometimes I'd be like, no, I just need time to myself. I just need to, be by myself. I just need to be alone. Maybe I can figure this out on my own, when all along I can't. I can't figure it out on my own. I cannot deal with it on my own. I get so frustrated within myself that I just want to snap, like scream. I just get so irritated.
And
you
probably
so
don't
emotional.
even understand.
I don't. And I say, sometimes I'd be like, Lord, why? Knowing I shouldn't question him. But days I have to say, why?
Yeah.
And I take a deep breath and I just
pull it.
I just zone out.
Take your time.
I do know that what you need is a hug. You need right now.
Yeah, you do.
A hug. So let me hug you.
Yeah.
But I want to also tell you that I know, we're talking about you sharing your deepest hurt, your deepest emotions with someone, with a group of people sometimes, a group of people. But Monica, sometimes we need someone who's suffered through the same thing that we've suffered through, because if they haven't suffered through it, how can they understand?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm afraid to do counseling, because I'm like, I don't want to go to counseling if they have not dealt with what I deal with, and I'm doubting them instead of just getting to know them and just go, because I don't want them to be like, it's going to be okay. Because that's the first thing that...
Counselor's not going to tell you that. They're not going to never tell you that. You can't do that. Under the code of ethics, you can never tell a person that you cannot do that. Counselor's got a code of ethics that has to be followed.
And I'm going to tell you,
don't take control of that visit. You have full control. Just like tonight, you got full control. Me and Jackie are here to support you as you go through telling this story. But you got full control. Counselors don't do that. Absolutely, right, Jackie?
That's right. And I want to tell you also, when you start looking, or when you call me and you let me help you start looking for the group of counseling that you're going to go to, you go to a group of counseling that's a group or counseling that specifically deals with parents who have lost children who never came home from the hospital. You go meet with a group who is like you, who understands what you're feeling because they have felt it. Electra's lost family members. I lost a brother to suicide. Electra lost her husband. We were talking about, Monica and I were talking about it earlier, that although I've never had a child, I've never lost a child, I was also unable to have a child. Very painful. I did go to counseling for that before I was a counselor myself. So counselors specialize,
Yeah.
and we can find what you need to help you. But right now, what we're talking about tonight is letting you say what you want to say. And I will bet you that there's going to be some people who reach out to you through the chat group that are just like you. That we may get some chat message, and they may not come tonight because we have viewers all over the world. We have viewers in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We have viewers in France. We have viewers in London and viewers in Russia. We have a viewer in Mexico and all over the United States. There are women out there just like you. Yeah. And
I have I'm sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say, this is who you need to connect with.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to get and counseling can help you do that, can help you connect.
Yes, ma'am.
With people who can help you learn coping mechanisms. That's what counselors do. They teach you coping mechanisms. Right, Electra?
Right. Monica, tell us a little bit about the impact that, as a mother, that you would say most mothers who lose a child, that you know some of the strongest emotions that they go through, whether it's whatever it is, I don't want to put it in your head. I want you to share with us.
Some of us think that we wasn't a good mother. Some of us think we failed as a parents. Me having to lose her 8 months, I said that, and it played over and over my head. Like, I failed as a mother. Like, I was thinking, like, did I not take my medicine? Was I sick to have caused this? Like, why didn't I just, like, why couldn't I just be calm and have a calm pregnancy? You know, why was I so stressed? Why was I under so much stress? Maybe I could have prevented this from happening. Like, there a million one things that went through my head, and thinking that this is going to be the hardest thing to deal with in my life. Thinking that I was eventually, to myself, I was saying, I'm either going to deal with this how I deal with it, or I'm going to end up grieving myself to death. I'm either going to keep it in and just grieve how I grieve, or I'm going to let it get the best of me and I'm just going to end up dying. That's what I was thinking in my head mentally, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I have pictures of my daughter holding her when she took her last breath. And I can't even look at them. Like, I can't even look at them because I feel like
Take your time.
It takes me out every time. It takes me out every time. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why did it have to happen to her? Like, it could have happened to anybody, but why me?
Yeah.
I ask that all the time. And like, I look at her and I'm like, she was so beautiful. She didn't even get to experience being here long enough to see how good of a mother I was.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it. Just the thought of it. Like, it just took a toll over me mentally.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that at all.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something that has nothing to do with counseling, but it has everything to do with my belief in God. I believe that the family members that we have lost become our guardian angels. Is that true or not? I don't know, because nobody's ever, it's an argument. But that the family members that we have lost become our guardian angels. And your little guardian angel can look down at her brother and can walk alongside her brother and feel how good of a mom you are. Yeah. Because she is blessed to be a twin who's got a brother who's walking through life just like she would have walked through.
Yes.
And when you are a good mother to your sons,
right,
and she knows that you are a good mom, I can sense you're a good mom. Just by the way you tell, how you explain to Kimon where his sister is. She knows you're a good mom. You'll always know you're a good mom. I can imagine that when you're thinking about her at 16, I can imagine no 16-year-old ever thinks their mother is doing everything right. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. I can imagine. Electra, did you ever have an argument with your mother when you were 16?
I don't remember.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
That's the safe thing to say.
But Monica, with you, what I want to do right now, some people in the chat section, and do you need to get some water or anything before we go any further?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this, and I know, Jackie would totally agree with me. We have like 25 more minutes, but if you get to the point where you want to end the interview, we're good with that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because we respecting you. You reached out to me and asked me, could you tell your story? And I want you to tell your story, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Some of what the viewers are saying before you start talking again is you have a viewer that says, we're just saying good evening, Queens, and that's just basically, letting us know that we're here and we're queens. We're queens, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Another viewer says, Monica is one of the strongest, sweetest, most genuine people I know. She deserves to release and heal in any way she sees fit. Another viewer says, well, she's just basically saying that she has to step away, but she will keep listening. She'll listen in the replay, and that she loves you and you will have a beautiful soul. Another viewer just is amening the comments from the other viewer, and then another viewer says, what you are saying is right. So you've got people who are in this chat section who, and Jackie can tell you this, everybody won't come on tonight, but there are those on there, but they just don't get in the chat section. So, you got 20 minutes to talk, 25 minutes to talk about anything else you want to. Take your time and talk about it. Me and Jackie both explained to you that we are on here for you to help you in those rough patches. We're not trying to take over your story because we can't. But by us working with people, majority of our lives, we are very strategic listeners and effective communicators, and we just come in so we can give you that point of calming down, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can start back telling your story. I just wanted to let you know what some of the things being said in the chat section, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I plan on going to counseling. I feel that maybe I would find, I mean, I'll have a better understanding
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, there's been plenty of times that I just swept it under the rug and I doubted going to
Mm-hmm.
counseling because I'd be wanting to just deal with stuff on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because all I have is pictures of my daughter, and my daughter was my best friend. She was my best friend. Even though she was 8 months, she was everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I I cherish that. I
Mm-hmm.
cherish everything about her. I always speak highly of her when people ask, even though she was 8 months.
That's okay.
I
That's still
felt
your
like
child.
her being here was 8 years to me
Mm-hmm.
because even though it was so short of time to
Mm-hmm.
me, that that I spent the best 8 months with her,
Mm-hmm.
letting her know how much I loved her. I was there every day possible to the point to where I made myself sick. I
Mm-hmm.
had to just give my body a rest. I wasn't all the way healed, but I just had to be there with her and her brother at the time. I was nursing
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
both of them, and pumping, nursing, and sick at the same time, trying to be there with them because I felt if they didn't see me there or sense me there, then they would feel unloved. So
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be, get there even to the point to where my car had broke down.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want people to know, you know, you may not want to be go to counseling, but you will need counseling eventually because it will bother you so much to where you don't have no choice. And I can be selfish at times. I close people out. I
Mm-hmm.
do. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want a person to think that it's something against them. It's me. I just need time to myself. I just need to be to myself, have, you know, time to exhale and to just take a deep breath and just, you know, be to myself pretty
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's to the point to where I just like to be alone. I shut people out. And I don't mean no harm by it. I just shut people out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I just have to, sometimes I really have to, I try to open up sometimes and I just sometimes shut you out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
If I,
Monica, people will tell you that time will heal all wounds, but time does not heal all wounds.
that's what they say. And then I make
Stop
a
fooling
face
yourself.
like,
Yeah, you're
I'm
like,
not,
yeah, I'm not here.
yeah,
I'm not listening to you. I don't
I'm
want to
not
listen
hearing
to you.
that. No,
I'm not
ma'am.
hearing that. You know, in your heart of hearts, there will always be an open wound.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Time is not going to heal it.
I
It's a
cry
lesson.
all the time about that.
It's a
I have
lesson of,
to.
yeah. And you need to understand that time is not going to heal it. And so you need to learn how to cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. So that's why, I haven't cried like this since her birthday. And, you guys are really I really appreciate you guys letting me open up because and making me feel comfortable because I would have shut down 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been shut down and I wouldn't have knew what to say and whatever to do because I would have closed you guys out. Like I wouldn't have been able to deal with it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to just open and just talk about it. And the more I talk about it, the more I feel at ease about
Yeah.
it because you guys understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a walk in the park. It's not. Um, you know, I deal with it all the time, and I was afraid to go to counseling because I didn't want nobody to be like, "Oh, you going to a shrink?" Thinking I'm
Yeah.
going crazy.
It ain't nobody's business when
So
you
and
go. It
I
ain't nobody's business.
exact yes, ma'am. So that's the thing that I was thinking like should I do this alone? Should I do this with somebody? Should I let somebody know that this is what I'm dealing with? Because if I don't, no one would know what I'm dealing with. So I I tell myself every day, just one day at a time, Monica, one day at a time.
Yeah.
You have to know when, and I say this all the time to people, it's not, when you're not okay, it's okay to say you're not okay. I
That's
tell
right.
people that, but I don't never tell myself that.
Yeah.
And I should always tell myself that, Monica, when it's not, when you're not okay, it's not okay. Chill, take a break. Sometimes I just want to I can take a break away from everybody and just be to myself.
Yeah.
So
I,
that's my problem.
let me ask you this question. You're gonna keep talking, but before I forget it,
Yes, ma'am.
me and Jackie have been talking about this a lot. All of these, we just had some kids lost on yesterday. What would you say to mothers who are losing their children to this gun violence? I hear them crying out. What would your message be to them? Because if you could look them in the face right now, what would you say to them?
I'm speechless. I wouldn't know what to say. I would just hug them, because I would feel their pain. I would see their pain in their face. There's nothing that I could say. I can't express anything to them, but pray in silence and pray to myself. I can't tell them that this too shall pass. I can't tell them none of that. Just hug them and love them and comfort them, because sometimes that's all it takes is a hug. That's it.
Yeah.
And I know that Electra has expressed to me the fear that she has for her grandson and her granddaughter in this age of violence that we live in. And here you are, Monica, you've got two boys. You've already lost a child. I know that you must have that fear as well.
Yes, ma'am.
In this age of violence, how do I keep that away from my children? I wish I had the answer. I wish, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't know how to end this stupidity.
I say that all the time. My son is 13. He's a young African American male, and I pray for my boys every day. Every day, and I let them know, if something is wrong, talk about it. And I love y'all dearly. Whatever is bothering y'all, talk about it. Because you can be talking to your child and not knowing that something is wrong. And then next thing you know, something happens. That's my biggest fear. That's my biggest fear. I don't want
I can't,
to have
because
to
I'm not a
experience
mother.
that.
I can't imagine. I'm not a mother. I'm not a grandmother. I can't imagine. But I hear it on the news, and I hear it happening
Every day.
every day, and the precursors of it that happen every day. And my heart breaks because, like I said before, I believe that it is the responsibility of every adult to protect every child.
Correct.
And yet there are adults out there.
That's right. Monica, it is a moment of pause. It's a moment of reflection. It's a moment of, I just don't know which way to go. It's a moment of
That's true.
numbness. And it's a moment of, I just want to feel free.
That's it. And I used to say that all the time, that I just want to be happy. I used to say that all the time. And people, I had a person ask me, what is your definition of being happy? I couldn't even answer because I don't have a definition of being happy. I don't. I have a definition of having peace of mind, um, trying to have a better understanding of life. Sometimes I say that all the time. Like, I wish I had a better understanding of life. I'm just living and trying to get a better understanding on how to cope with things that happen every day, and I can't.
You're not really living, Monica. You just existing.
Hmm.
You just existing.
True.
And you have to get away from just existing. And the way that you
Remember
can,
always.
you
Go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
have to get around people. Listen to me closely. You gotta get around people that would mention your name in a room of opportunities. Let me clarify that. When I say that, I ain't just saying to something to make some money. I'm talking about a room of opportunities. Like right now, we in different locations, but you are around people who will mention your name in a room of opportunities. You know why? Because right now, Monica is sitting with the world looking at her, and we calling your name. We not saying, can you? We say, Monica. We calling out your name. People will know who you are from now on. And there is where you have to put yourself and keep yourself in spaces where people and around people who will mention your name in a room of opportunities. In a room where they say, you know what? I know a young lady and she lost a child and she dealing with a lot of pain. And I just want to tell you that here's her phone number. Tell her that I know you. And tell her that whatever the cost, I got it. She don't even have to worry about no money. I already took care of that bill. You gotta get to that point. Because what I have heard you say this entire time, you know what, Monica? You're not living, you just existing. But the main thing is, you are not around the people who would mention your name in a room of opportunity. In a room where they know that this person is offering some services that somebody that I know by the name of Monica, that she needs, I'm going to pass her name on to her. Tonight, as you sit on this broadcast, people see you globally. And you know what? What they see? They see a strong woman who has come out of darkness to share her story. Your story is helping more people than you will ever meet in your life. And it don't matter how somebody else feel about your story. That's your story. You tell your story as much as you want to. You say you like to sing. If the pain get too heavy, you just start singing. If the pain get too heavy, you pick up that phone and say, look, I don't know what ain't that you doing, but I know I can call her. I don't know what Miss Jackie doing, but I know I can call her. Because you know what? Just like you shared with me the other day, when people knew you were coming on, you start getting people in your messenger, in your message box, because they want to hear your story. They didn't even know you had that story. And you told me now. You ain't even know who them people are.
No, I don't.
Baby, you in a room of opportunity. Right here on this podcast. And we mentioning your name. Don't you never let nobody, I'm talking nobody, not anybody, even me, put limits on you. Like that person, that viewer that opened up, and when the first viewer said, "Hello, queens." That viewer is talking about all three of us. You a queen. You don't have to take the back seat to nothing and nobody. You need to
tell you something,
always know
Electra and
that.
I, we say to each other all the time, we are strong, independent women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
welcome
Thank you.
to the sisterhood of strong, independent women.
That's right.
Thank you.
So, Miss Ma'am, you got 6 minutes. And
Yes, ma'am.
what would you like to leave with us? I'm talking about the audience that's looking at you. What would you like to leave with the audience?
Don't ever be afraid or ashamed to speak up about how you're dealing with something, grief, death, whatever it is. It's okay to not be okay. Just open up. I'm telling you, it'll open up a whole lot of wounds and broken pieces that you tried to put together, but you couldn't because you didn't have no understanding. Sometimes I don't know whether I'm coming or going, and now I understand that it's okay to not be okay. Just open up. I've been hiding this for the longest and just didn't know how to open up.
Yeah.
So I feel so much better and uplifted to the point to where I can actually say thank God. I mean, I thank God because I didn't think I could do this at all. At all. So I'm grateful for my auntie, and I'm grateful for Miss Jackie, because I'm telling you, this was like the hardest thing to deal with. The hardest.
Okay.
And I feel so good to talk about it because I don't ever want no one to think that they could just, I mean, when someone tell you just sweep it under the rug or just, it'll get better. It don't get better. You get better because you're able to open up and talk about it. And I feel better.
Yes.
I'm not where I was. I'm where I needed to be. And I feel uplifted.
Good.
Good deal.
And I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
We are so happy that we were able to get you on, and you and Jackie had an extensive conversation while I was trying to get us on.
Yes, ma'am.
this internet. And I'm so glad you got a chance to meet Jackie. She is a wonderful person. We met each other in 2007, and we've been friends, sisters ever since. And we do this podcast, and it's all about trying to get people to come out and tell their stories. And anytime you want to come back on this podcast, you just let me know. Just let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
We get you on the podcast
Yes,
now. Jackie, you want to say anything
Yes,
to Monica before we get off?
I just want to say, you hold on to that hug I gave you. You take it anytime you want. All right?
Yeah.
I will.
You got it.
And it's always, I'm always here. Electra can always reach me. And I'm always willing to talk.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
may not. Electra and I are a little bit older than you. I'm a little bit older than Electra.
And that's
But-
fine.
We've walked on this earth in a lot of different shoes.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
maybe as you walk through this life in the shoes that you wear, maybe we can help you sometime. Always reach
Yes,
out. We'll
ma'am.
always be here for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all. I really appreciate you both. And the love is so genuine and grateful. I really needed it. And I thank y'all so much.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're gonna have to come
Thank you,
on and
Monica.
tell us about your progress.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to go into
Amazing.
counseling and everything, we would love for you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, to come back on this podcast to share with us,
Yes, ma'am.
to share with the world your progression, because I believe, and I believe Jackie believes, that you're going to move forward from this point on. You really are. I believe in you.
Yes, ma'am.
Jackie, you believe in it, don't you?
I believe in you, Monica. I believe in you.
So, all right, ladies.
Yes, ma'am.
Believe in yourself.
Thank you.
We gonna see y'all next time. We gonna be here next week doing another
Wednesday.
interview on
Thank you.
from a nurse who's gonna be talking to us about the COVID and the flu. So that's on next week. And then to close it out, we're gonna close it out with a comedian.
Oh, good.
All right, all right. So all the tears on tonight, we're gonna try to get some laughter before it's over.
Before our season ends, as our season ends.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Yeah. Record.